little special treat, a little nugget of insight for you to deepen your practice or take your poses to the next level. But it's something called Asana Vidya. Asana meaning pose and Vidya meaning science. So this is the science of poses. So poses, as you know if you've been doing them, are inspired by all kinds of things. They're inspired by nature. Got, fallen leaf pose, tree pose, all these beautiful poses inspired by nature. They're inspired by kids, happy baby. So they're inspired by people in general. But they're also inspired more commonly with animals. We have animals for tons of poses. And the cool part about how, they were created was, someone decided while they were sitting in lotus pose, their legs all folded and entwined in each other, wow, right now I feel like a lotus. And they, figure that that's what they're going to start calling it. They're in cobra, they're lifting up and they're going, wow, I bet this is what a cobra would feel like. All these poses are inspired by real things, and I love that. I think that's so awesome and so creative, especially, thousands and thousands of years ago when they were created. So that's where they came from. So there are some terms that sometimes can get confused for people, but they're not confusing, and I'll just break them down really easy for you. And they're kind of fun. So the pose itself refers to your entire body. So your entire body is in a specific shape. So if you're in downward facing dog, your arms are somewhere and your legs are somewhere, your hips are somewhere, your whole body is in a figure of some sort. Or you're in child's pose, your body's in a figure of some sort. The posture just refers to the part of the body. So you can have different postures in a pose. So you could be in downward facing dog and have your left leg lifted up behind you in what we call three-legged dog, and that lifting of that left leg is in a posture. Or your arms could be out to the side and you're in boat pose, and now your arms are in the posture cross. So there's tons of different postures you can do, and postures and variations in those postures can be done in the legs, the feet, the hands, the neck, the torso, and the arms. So you have tons of options in all these different areas of the body that you can do to switch up a pose. Then there are positions. So the position refers to the placement of the limb. So where exactly your arm is going when it's in your pose or it's in your posture. So first position is towards the midline. And this is pretty common. We see it sometimes in chair where, the big toes will touch, the knees touch, the thighs come together. So we can tell, okay, we're in first position because all of our parts are moving towards the midline. Then there's second position, which we hear a lot in yoga, and that just means that whatever part it is, your arms, your legs are moving away from the outer line of the body. So they're not moving away from the midline, they're moving away even further than the outer line of the body. If they were just moving away from the midline, that could be in alignment, which is just shoulder width distance, hip width distance in alignment. But away from the outer line means it needs to move further than the shoulder, further than the hips. So, your legs being in a wide-legged forward fold or a straddle pose, then your legs are in second position. Third position is when they're crossing the center line. So this is like if your ankle was crossed over your opposite ankle or leg, then that would be third position. Fourth position is in the center. So similar to first position, they're both in the center, but it's stacked on top. So one stacked on top of the other. Fifth position is awesome. I love this position, and it's really never used by normal yoga teachers, I feel like. Fifth position is asymmetry. So this is where you take a part of the body, or you take the body itself, and you split it into two halves. So it could be the legs, you got two legs, and in asymmetry, one leg is going to pull forward while the other leg is going to pull back. Or with the back, we do this a lot with the spine or the hips. And this actually creates a whole lot of movement and space in the spine that the spine is not used to experiencing at all. We're used to folding forward, folding back, side to side, but the spine itself is always in alignment. It's just going different directions. But what we do in asymmetry is we pull the vertebrae apart a little, give it a little space, and we're kind of shimmying it up and down, which is really creating a lot of space in there, a lot more flexibility, a lot more lubrication. You're getting a lot of that awesome cerebrospinal fluid moving along that spine, nourishing your spinal column and all your discs, and getting that vertebrae all nice and rejuvenated. And it feels really, really good. Okay, so then there's figure. This is more for, I would say, yoga teachers or instructors. Less worried about it for, the person who practices at home. You don't really need to know this very much, but it is the geometric shape of the pose. So it's your little stick guy, and it's telling you, are they forward folding? Are they back bending? Are they in alignment? So forward fold is less than 90 degrees. Back bend is greater than 180 degrees. And you can see him, he's at a right angle, so he's in 90 degrees, which means that he is in alignment. And then you have a seal. And the seal is basically the way the energy is moving in the pose. And you can use mudras, or it can just be the connection to the floor with your arms or your feet. And then the seal is going to create, with the energy, it's either going to block the energy or it's going to unblock the energy. And for example, if your arms are in cross and you're laying on your back in a heart opener, obviously your energy is unblocked. And then if you're doing something, where you're really tight and hunched in, like in rabbit pose and you're all curled up, or in little bear, you're hugging in, then you know that your energy is blocked at that time. It's just circulating within you. It's not going outside of you, and it's not pulling from outside either. And, you can use different mudras, and these are seals of energy that you are creating by your own body. So when we use all the time, Anjali Mudra, prayer hands, and it is, a seal that you are circulating throughout you, but it's also energies coming out your fingertips. So, usually it's right underneath your face or your chin, and you're just circulating that energy within yourself. Another awesome mudra that, I use all the time is power mudra. And, that's your little Charlie's Angels gun. And remember that mudras also have their own effects, just like a pose. They're almost like baby mini poses, and they have their own effects on the body, whether it's digestion or, mood, could be all kinds of things. And they also invoke a different feeling, just like the poses do. When you're in warrior, you feel strong, you feel like a warrior in all those different warrior poses. But in mudras, they're also having those same effects. So I'll use power mudra a lot, especially in more active and energy exerted poses, to give my little yogis extra oomph, that extra power, to allow them to feel more powerful. They can stay in the pose for longer. So I use it a ton with sun or warriors or anything like that. I love power mudra. Let's see. You know what? I'll actually just make a video where we'll go over some variations, some different positions, postures, some different seals, and I want you to just kind of get a feel for the difference that it really makes when you're making these tiny and sometimes micro adjustments, how different a pose can feel, and what different muscle fibers and filaments you're stimulating just by switching things up a little, which, on a side note, is awesome for your brain. It's so great in preventing Alzheimer's and dementia. Yoga is already so amazing for it because it is something that varies and that you're doing differently all the time. And, it's keeping, those brain synapses firing all the time, but just adding different different postures or positions, or adding some mudras in there really switches it up, and your brain loves that. Even if sometimes you personally are getting confused or don't like the way that it feels or feels different, or you've got to relearn how to do that pose now, it's awesome fuel for your brain. So check out that video. I'll be posting a little link to it on here, and come explore and have fun. It's awesome, I promise. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Please, please, please like this video. I'd love to have comments from you. I'd love to talk to you. And if you haven't already, please subscribe.